To create the perfect striker, 299 players will have their dreams crushed. A premise that Bluelock has been pushing this whole time, with every single arc working towards this goal. As we are getting closer and closer to the U20 World Cup, the whole point of Bluelock, we just know some characters aren't gonna make it. From fan favorite characters to some of the niche characters with a small fan base, and some characters who have gotten literally zero screen time. No matter what, there are going to be a lot of eliminated players, with one of the biggest arcs, the Egoist League, coming to a close. Everyone's been wondering who is going to be eliminated, who will pass, and if their favorite character will survive the purge before the U20. This is super important because there are only 23 spots. Some of our favorite characters will get eliminated as there isn't space for everyone. The Egoist League will eliminate half of their players. In total, there are 46 players from Bluelock, 35 from the second selection, Kunigami as a +1, and 10 of the previous U20 players who were invited. I still don't know why they invited this guy. He's done absolutely nothing in the whole series, and that is the case for most of the characters who will get eliminated. There are just some players that are 100% not making it. So how I'll do this is listing the most likely characters to get eliminated, like fodder background characters, players we haven't seen before, and Wakatsuki. I don't know why I'm hating on him that much. Anyways, then we get into the players who might make it, more familiar names, but probably still won't make it because for most of them, it would take a miracle. Most of the players that will get eliminated meet those qualifications of either needing a miracle to save them or just simply not making it. As well, there are also characters you might think make it, but have a chance of not making it, so we'll be discussing that as well. Some of the characters might come as a shock to you, some fan favorites, some players that are currently in the top 23, so make sure to stick around to the end to see who's on the chopping block. So since we're starting from the most likely players to get eliminated, we have to start with characters that add absolutely nothing to the plot and story. There are only 23 spots and only 46 players. A lot of the players from that 46 will get eliminated, and you'd rather eliminate the players that have done absolutely nothing. So in the red are players that are 100% not making it, some characters I literally didn't even know the name of. Starting it off, we got Akira and Doji, Yuzu Haruhiko, Tetsu Sakura, Sunzaki Taiga, Sara Madara, Tanaka, Shiguma, and Ishikari. Most of the players we don't care about at all or have no info about them. I can bet that most of y'all didn't know the names of these characters or absolutely forgot about them. I make Bluelock content and I forgot about them. That's how forgettable they are. But for some highlights, Ishikari is the tallest youth player in Japan. Akira has one of my favorite designs in a side character, and Tanaka actually ranked number 5 right behind Corona in the second selection. All these characters are 100% not making it. I can guarantee that they're not. They've had no presence in the manga and don't even have salaries, so that means they need to get it all in the last game. Super unrealistic. So it comes down to the last game for all these players, and Uber's already played all their games, so players like Ishikari and Tanaka who are in the Ubers are done for. It's already confirmed. But something that I need you guys to confirm as well is making sure to hit that subscribe button. Going over all the players and all the possibilities took so long, but hitting that button only takes 1 second, and probably even faster than that. Y'all know as well, I make everything related to Bluelock just like this, so make sure to subscribe and join the family. Anyways, next are the players that are probably not making it. They have a higher chance of not making it than actually making it, but not 100% confirmed as the 8 fodder characters I mentioned before. In the probably not making it tier, we got Hajime Nishioka, Wakatsuki, Hayate, Kento Cho, Shizuka Haiji, Himizu, Wanima, and Kitsune. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyways, all the characters in this list currently have a salary in the Egoist League. Obviously not in the top 23, in fact, literally the last place. Again, most of them add nothing to the plot, and their roles are already filled by other players. For example, Kento Cho is the U20's previous forward. There is absolutely no way he is beating anyone in the forward position in Bluelock, and he's not even playing in the last PXG game. That's the case for most of them. They're just simply not good enough, and we know it already. But to give a few highlights, Hajime Nishioka is the biggest mystery in Bluelock. We haven't seen him play yet, and he is called Aomori's Messi. IG has one of the best designs in general. We call him the paper haircut guy, and he is playing for Barca, so there's a good chance he could play in the last game and get a higher salary. Lastly, Wanima is the only player from the first selection, probably the one you guys recognize the most, but not for a good reason. This guy is just useless. The start of the list is pretty predictable as it includes characters we don't really care about or add nothing to the plot, but later on we'll see a lot of familiar names pop up that might fail Bluelock. But those are the players that are probably not making it. Again, leaning more towards the sides of not making it. Like, you could put all of them in the 100% not making it tier and no one would bat an eye, to be honest. Nobody cares about Wakatsuki. He should move down a tier. And now the next tier, which is what I call the 50-50 chance. But as I was making this, most of the characters I just can't see making it, so it isn't exactly 50%, if that makes sense. So this tier is 50-50, but still probably not making it, so more like 40-60. Anyways, in this list is Neo Kazuma, Nerutepe, and and Dairai Miroku. These three are all part of the Iron Wall Quartet from the U20, the only other memorable players from that team, and they also have the highest salaries from the fodder characters, with Dairai being number 25. Defender-wise, Bluelock really only has Ryu, Aiku, and Nico. There are others, but they're not primarily defenders, so having a player like Neo Kazuma, who has experience playing with Aiku and can use his physique to defend, can be an argument for why he stays and takes a spot in the top 23. They pretty much fill the gaps of what current defenders have: Neo with physique, Dairai with off the ball, and Neru with speed, so to fill some of the missing abilities Bluelock needs on defense might be their case to cracking into the top 23. Neo and Dairai are also playing on Munchen and Barcha, so we could see them get a higher salary in their final games, and there's a lot of theories and hype around seeing Neru play in Bastard in a speed or a rush type style formation. But again, there are only 23 spots, and they'd have to knock out other important players in there to get a spot on the team. That's what makes this decision so hard, and why everyone is wondering who will fail from Bluelock. Because now that we're towards the end and got rid of all the fodder characters or players we expect to fail, it leaves only players currently in the top 23 or important characters. And in the top 23 right now are players that have been super important to the plot, characters that have been here since the start of the series, super skilled players with high potential, or fan favorite characters. This is where we'll start analyzing the characters and their feats as the debate between who is going to be eliminated becomes harder and harder. But before we discuss the players, we need to do some calculations as well. So far, we have 19 players who are most likely to get eliminated, which leaves 27 total players. So for the players that I mentioned from this tier will get eliminated. However, all these characters I mentioned, you can make a super valid argument for surviving or making it. Again, this is why it's so tricky, because 4 characters will get eliminated here. The final tier we have to discuss before personally deciding everyone who will get eliminated is going to be the probably will make it but not 100%, so they're still at risk tier, with Kiora Jin, Igaguri, Raichi, Nanase, Hiragi, Fukaku Gen, Zantetsu, Tokimitsu, and Nagi and Ryo. Like I said, a lot of characters, but I am including everyone at risk of being eliminated. Some of them you might not expect or think it's dumb for me to even consider them being eliminated, but the evidence I have and the arguments back it up, them being at risk. All of these characters are really known, and I think they have an equal chance of surviving, so picking 4 of them is going to be really hard. Let's start with Kiora Jin and his argument though. A personal favorite for a lot of people because the hype surrounding him and his character design. He's one of the most interesting cases or biggest question marks, as he is currently playing in the PXG vs Bastard Mutant game, so he's guaranteed a salary here. Can that salary be enough to crack into the top 23 though and knock someone else out? That is the debate and question we have to answer. Honestly, they wouldn't have even brought up Kiora or would have just kept him on the bench if they weren't going to do something with him, so we really have to take his potential into consideration. Speaking of potential, let's talk about Igaguri and his complete lack of it. Skill-wise, in a heartbeat, Igaguri does not belong here. He is a complete outlier, but at the same time, he has plot armor. Igaguri's luck is one of the most broken weapons in the series. He somehow survives and makes it through every arc when you think he's going to get eliminated. Igaguri is like the last you pick at recess, but somehow always manages to be on the winning team. I think that alone puts him as potential to steal a top 23 spot and knock one of the more important characters out. Like, can you imagine Igaguri eliminates Raichi, who is currently number 23? The funny thing is, it's literally possible because of the Igaguri bias. Since we just mentioned Raichi, let's talk about him as well. Even though he is playing in the PXG game currently, like Kiora, he is at the cutoff at being number 23. I think his skill set, the fact that we're getting development for him, and he's been an important character since the first selection, definitely helps his chances of surviving. But it would really be a plot twist and show how cutthroat Bluelock is to eliminate a character like Raichi. We could see an upset from a second selection character like Kiora, or maybe Raichi just doesn't play as good. I think it'll come down to the wire, because even though he is playing, every number around him as well is also playing, including the players who are barely beneath him, like the U20 defenders who are probably playing in Munchen vs Barcha, and Nanase, who is playing in the same match as him. And Nanase is easily a top contender for surviving as well. Go back 5 chapters and no one would even consider Nanase to survive, but with a new salary being ranked at number 24 and development in the most recent chapter, it's looking good for the Nanase believers. The Nanase stocks are completely up. However, is his skill worthy of being in the top 23 and overthrowing the players who are currently above him? We don't know exactly. And speaking of players who have unknown skills, we also have Hiragi, who is the most underrated pick in this list. I have a lot of good reasons for why I put him up here, even though you might think he's just second selection fodder. With his recent development in episode Nagi and the fact that he is currently ranked 28th, all he really needs is one really good game to save himself. And from what we've seen, he's been a mix of Nagi and Isagi, which is super dangerous. He's He's already scored twice against Nagi's team, a super hype moment, and he is currently in Munchen with Nagi and Ryo. He does play a huge role in Nagi's development in episode Nagi, so they might continue that development going into the next arc. Plot-wise, it makes sense for him to be saved. He also has the skills to back it up. Skill-wise, I would place him above Nanase, to be honest, and it would be cool to see some second selection representation. Him moving forward, though, means one of the players we have seen, such as Zantetsu or Tokimitsu, may get eliminated. And I think Zantetsu and Tokimitsu really have similar debates here, as well as being the exact same salary tied at the 20th spot. They both are playing in the match, so they're bound to get higher salaries, and they both have super high ceilings when it comes to their potential. But will they reach that potential? Going into this match, I know myself and a lot of other people have been hyping up Zantetsu and Tokimitsu like crazy, with Zantetsu having the same weapon as Loki and Tokimitsu maybe gaining confidence. But to be honest, we haven't seen as much change that I thought we would, and I know the game just started, but it would suck if they got more sideline for Shido, Rin, Isagi, and whatever, because that would mean their salaries wouldn't go up as much and have a higher risk at being eliminated. I've really grown to like them, and I think they are still useful in a blue lock formation. Tokimitsu can be an absolute tank on defense, but at the same time help move the ball upfield using his unlimited stamina. And Zantetsu has been blitzing players like Grim. That explosive acceleration can be super dangerous as a winger. We've seen him also support and work alongside Shido. This is why 4 players being eliminated absolutely sucks, because although they are technically replaceable, there are some better options or alternatives. Zantetsu and Tokimitsu's potentials do bring a lot to the table, because they definitely have a lot more potential than Fukaku Gen, the U20 goalkeeper who is ranked higher than them at number 19. This guy is an enigma. How was he here? He's blocked no shots during the Ubers match, and he is completely forgettable. We actually do know the reason why he's here. It's for plot. The second goalkeeper rule. Otherwise, they would have just forgotten about him, just like they forgot about all the other U20 players. It absolutely sucks, because that means he takes another spot away from another player. He's pretty much confirmed to survive since he is here. It makes absolutely no sense to put him up here just to eliminate him after. Like, why even put him up here in the first place? I do agree, though, it is super unrealistic to have only Gagamaru as the only goalkeeper, and that also means we're gonna get the 11 versus 11 blue lock versus blue lock in-house scrim, with him as a goalkeeper for one side and Gagamaru as the goalkeeper for the other side. So I guess that's cool, but since he is lower in the salary rankings, I'm still gonna put him at risk, even though he's pretty much confirmed to live at this point. Let me know if you think Fukaku Gen is surviving down in the comments below. I know there is a lot of divide whether he makes it or not, and it is a pretty interesting debate as he does take up a precious spot in the top 23. And finally, we have the duo of Nagi and Ryo. You might be wondering why they're here, but it's obviously because of their current downfall in the Neo Egoist League that puts them at risk of being eliminated. I highly doubt the salaries would go up enough to reach Nagi and Ryo, but we also have to take into account the fact that they're consistently dropping salaries in between games. Nagi had a 48 million fall off, and Ryo had a 6 million fall off. If they keep falling off, specifically Ryo, they could be eliminated. They are at risk because of this, and if they wanted to go fully through with Nagi's development and having him be left alone, they could eliminate Ryo and free up a space. Would be super crazy, and I personally wouldn't like that, but there is evidence. Episode Nagi revealed that Nagi will be left alone from his tarot card reading. This could be interpreted in many ways, but one way could be that Ryo gets eliminated, leaving Nagi to go through Blue Lock by himself. I highly doubt that, though, due to Nagi and Ryo wanting to both make change before going into their final game against Barcha, but with everyone else at their peaks and the rising salary rankings, the duo are at a bit of a risk here. Now that we've mentioned every single character at risk of being eliminated, let's go over who I think will be eliminated and the reasons why. So firstly, everyone from below the 50-50 tier list will be eliminated. I see no world where they overtake someone in the top 23. It would literally take a miracle, and I don't think they got that in them. It is sad to see the Iron Wall Quartet get wasted like that, especially since their weapons could be useful. Aiku's gonna be split from his squad as well, but that's just how Blue Lock is. This video is about who will fail, and I do think they will fail. Some of the other players like Akira and Doji got no opportunity to shine, so that absolutely sucks, but it must be for a reason, and it is kind of late to develop a new character. Now that that's clarified, let's move on to what everyone has been waiting for. Who are the 4 players out of the list to get eliminated? And wow, this might just be the hardest decision I've had to make. Like I said, every character is really important to the story, or can be super important, so eliminating 4 players here is really hard. I'm not only taking skill into consideration, but I'm also taking plot, development, and what they add to the story as well, as that is crucial to making an accurate guess. So the first on the chopping block is gonna be Hiragi. I think this is one we can all get out of the way and agree with. Although he has a lot of untapped potential, we haven't seen him in the mainline story at all. So for people who haven't read episode Nagi, a character taking a super important top 23 spot would come as a surprise, considering he'd knock out a fan favorite character like Raichi or Zantetsu. His development as well pales in comparison to all the other characters in this list, and his whole character arc is just to support Nagi. So once that arc finishes, there really isn't any use for him. Moving on to the second pick, I say this with a really heavy heart, but I'm gonna pick Hyorojin. Kiora is one of the most hyped up characters, and surprisingly, I saw a lot of people saying he was gonna make it, considering he only had one match to get a salary as well. For him to make it in one game would be absolutely crazy, but it is pretty unrealistic. He's said to be a perfect replacement for Corona due to his skills, and we already have Corona to fill that spot. Why would we need another? In the first 4 chapters of the game, he's the only character we haven't seen do anything. Every character had a touch on the ball besides him at the kickoff, which was super sad to see. Literally every named character besides Kiora got a touch. Even though there's a theory surrounding his scoring abilities, as he was one of the top scorers in his stratum during the first selection, him scoring a goal over Kaiser, Kunigami, or Isagi just doesn't seem realistic. And coming in at the 3 out of 4 spot, now this is super hard because we got every single fodder character out of the way, and it's just important characters we've known for pretty much the whole series. Fukakugen, I think, will survive. Even though I would like to put him on the chopping block, it only makes sense if he survives, so the next on the list is unfortunately Igaguri the GOAT. I honestly thought Igaguri is gonna make it in this arc. With his recent development and the fact that he somehow survives every single time, and he's also just good comedy relief, but I do think this is his time. I'm saying that like he's gonna die. Anyways, Igaguri, I think, will stay in Bluelock, maybe as a caster or just entertainment. That would be a way to implement him, as his goal isn't to win the World Cup or anything. It really is just to not work at his family's temple. So it would be a way to remove him from playing, but also keep him in the story as comedy relief. He is the author's second favorite character after all. I will miss the Igaguri foul gamble play and his comedy relief in the matches. To be honest, I may be wrong though, and he might clinch the top 23 spot like he always does, but this is personally my pick. Now the 4th pick. This is a hard one, as I think every single character here really deserves their spot and has a lot of potential. Fukaku damn near has a protection point for being a goalkeeper. Raichi is the marking god. Zantetsu has so much potential with his speed. Tokimitsu has physique and stamina, and Nagi and Reo are just insane. I think we could take Nagi and Reo out of this debate, as I do think they'll develop in the Barcha game, and again, I do think Fukaku will make it as a sub-goalkeeper, which leaves Raichi, Zantetsu, and Tokimitsu. From the 3, I think Raichi will be the one who survives. He has a lot of potential as a CDM player, and his marking skills pretty much gives Bluelock a Lorenzo-type defender. Although his skill set is probably the worst out of the 3, I think his importance to the plot and just his influence on a game is almost irreplaceable. You can use him to mark the biggest threat on a squad, just like how he did with Snuffy. Which leaves Zantetsu and Tokimitsu. Zantetsu is kind of replaceable since Chigiri can do his job as a winger, and you have other speedsters who can support like Corona or Yukimiya. Tokimitsu, on the other hand, is more flexible, but doesn't have that absolute weapon like Zantetsu with his speed. And the defense spot just got taken by Raichi, so that means he'd be more of a midfielder. Both super good players and a super hard decision. My decision, however, is going to be to eliminate Tokimitsu. For usefulness, I do think Tokimitsu is a better option than Zantetsu, providing both a midfielder and a defender role, but Zantetsu's development, I think, wins out here. You see, Tokimitsu has yet to get any development regarding his character. No confidence boost that we've seen. It looks like he's just going to play the same and just be another solid choice, but we didn't get to see him get fleshed out, which is pretty sad. Because of that, I don't think we'll get the necessary development for him, which isn't the case for Zantetsu, as we've gotten a lot of development, his backstory, and even his goal for Zantetsu in episode Nagi. He could also be trained by Loki since he does have the same weapon. I think Zantetsu could be a super good offensive option for Bluelock, more than the support of Tokimitsu since we do already have a lot of midfielders, and now a defender in Raichi. Zantetsu, even though his speed can be replaced by Chigiri, who is the speedster, and also Yukimiya, who is I can't really think of a compliment for him, but you know what I mean. Zantetsu's speed really is an asset I think shouldn't be replaced. It would basically be like having another Loki as an offensive option, and since Bluelock specializes in offense, he is my pick here. Alright, so that is everyone who I think will fail Bluelock. Again, a lot of characters consisted of the fodder. It's expected, but there are a lot of characters as well that we've grown to like that got eliminated. That is personally my list though. I could be wrong, and we could see players from the list I eliminated make it through, and players who I put as safe end up failing. That would be such a plot twist, to be honest, and I would definitely love to see one of the more important characters get eliminated just to spice things up. Like, imagine Igaguri eliminating someone like Raichi is just funny. I try to make this one a little more fact-based rather than opinionated, going off plot and whatever. If I was making it for fun, I'd probably introduce a plot twist like that. But anyways, let me know who you think will fail Bluelock, who you would choose if you agree or disagree with me. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end. My name's Hiryo, and I'll see you guys next one.